Hi everyone, welcome back and thanks for joining me again. If you've just moved over from the abs class and you want to stretch, I'm sorry, and I hope you're not feeling too sore and you're feeling quite invigorated. This is yin yoga. It's going to be probably about 45 minutes to an hour, and it's probably going to make you sleepy but in a really nice way. I'm going to have a bit of a fuzz at the end of this. So we're going to be using some props. I've got 2 bricks. I'm assuming that most people don't have these around their house. So a large book, a dictionary or something, and maybe a cushion would be a really, really good call, just to support you in a range of poses. And for the last bit, if you have a nice soft blanket that you can put over yourself for Shavasana, for the resting pose at the end, that would be really useful too. So I'm not playing any music, partly because of licensing laws and partly because the sound quality won't be great over the video. But if you would like to use my playlist, I'm going to put it down in the bio for Spotify, so please do feel free to use that if you want, or obviously make your own yoga playlist, and I'd like to hear what you've got on them. That'd be really nice. Okay, so let's begin. So make your space really lovely. If you're doing this in the evening or if you're doing this in the dark, please do light some candles. This is going to be a really gentle practice. We're going to hold every pose for 30 seconds, sometimes a little longer than that, and just breathe into it. And it's going to really release shoulders, hips, hamstrings, everywhere that's probably tight from sitting down a lot at the moment, and also from just the stress of what's been going on lately, which I'm not going to talk about. So we're going to start in Supta Baddha Konasana, or butterfly pose. So you're going to be lying back into the mat, knees, soles of the feet together, knees apart. If you are not comfortable in this pose and it's too much on your hips, what you can do is put your books or your pillows or whatever you've got under your thighs to support you like this. If, however, you have quite open hip flexors, you can just stay like this. Put one hand on your lower belly and one hand just at the top of your ribs. Close your eyes, and we're just going to take about a minute here, really breathing into the pose. So as you breathe in, imagine you're a bottle being filled up. So you're being filled with air from your pelvis, through the bottom of your ribs, top of your ribs, all the way into your shoulders, and really imagine that breath going into your shoulders. And then as you breathe out, really sigh it all out, and imagine again that bottle is being poured out. I'm going to take 6 more breaths. Start to make your breath audible if you can. So it's called Ujjayi breath, and it's kind of like the sound of the sea. So you slightly constrict the back of your throat. If you're pregnant or you've got any respiratory problems, please don't do this. But you slightly restrict the back of your throat so you can hear your breathing like a faraway sea. So it's like, don't know if you can hear that. If you've got props under your thighs, take them out, and we're going to make this into a little butterfly. So just do a few little bounces of your knees, flutters. And then you're going to bring your left knee over to your right knee and just take a gentle twist. If you want to take this further, open your arms and twist your torso further. Again, if you're pregnant, please don't take this twist too deeply. For pregnancy, you should only be doing very, very gentle twists. Breathe into both shoulders, press them towards the ground. 2 more breaths here. And then gently take the left leg back, and then take the right leg over it. Take your gaze towards your right arm, and again we're going to take 5 deep breaths here. and draw your legs back to centre. Draw them into your chest and just give yourself a hug, rock from side to side. And send your left leg long along the mat and draw your right knee in as much as you can. Really draw it towards your shoulder, and every time you exhale, draw it closer to you. Then inhale, press it away a little bit, and exhale, draw it towards your shoulder. We can do 3 more breaths here. Then you're going to take your hands behind your thigh, interlace your fingers, and extend your right leg towards the ceiling, flexing that foot, and then pointing. Really draw your shoulders away, so your shoulders aren't coming up out of the mat. They're really pulling back in opposition. Press your hands into your legs into your hand, and you should really start to feel that hamstring stretch. If that's enough, stay there. Otherwise, flex your foot and try and draw your leg further in towards you, and you should really feel this at the back of your hamstring. 3 breaths here. Then draw that knee back in, take hold of the right knee with your left hand, and then draw your left knee over, right knee over towards your left, taking your right arm out next to you and looking towards that arm. So you're taking a stretch here. You can take 5 breaths here. And when you finish that last breath, bring that knee in. Dive your hand through between your legs and take hold of either the outside of your shin or the outside of your foot. Try and ground your pelvis, and then kick that leg towards the ceiling into half happy baby pose. And if you want, you can do a few rocks from side to side to ease out that hip joint. And then release. And we're going to do it all on the other side. So extend your right leg out, bring your left knee in, and again, every time you exhale, draw your knee towards your shoulder. Every time you inhale, just press that leg away a little bit. So exhale, and inhale, exhale, and inhale. 2 more breaths. You should really be feeling this around your hip flexor, and perhaps also around your quad. 1 more breath. And then take hold of the back of your calf and send your foot towards the ceiling. Again, we're going to point and flex. Point and flex. If your hamstrings are really tight, quite a nice thing to do is to interlace your hands behind them and work down your hamstring, pressing into it with your interlaced fingers. So you're kind of giving yourself a little bit of massage, and it really does release your hamstring. Make sure you're not going behind your knee, but you're just pressing on that muscle all the way down. And again, if you want, you can flex your foot and hold it there for a couple of breaths. And then again, bring your knee into your chest, take hold of the left knee with the right hand and draw it over towards your right, looking towards your left, arm out. Draw your shoulders towards the mat, and just breathe. On your next exhale, draw the knee back to centre. Draw the hand through the leg, and either take hold of the shin, ankle or foot and kick that leg away, so you're really getting into the gluteus medius. Make sure your pelvis is really centered and stacked. draw your knees into your chest and just take a moment there. You can rock from side to side. You can just do little circles with your knees in opposite directions, whatever feels nice for you. Okay, and now we're going to take our figure 4 position, which we've done before, and remember this one because you might need it later as a modification for pigeon stretch. So you're going to start with your left foot on the mat and bring your right heel over your foot. Remember not to put the bone directly onto the knee and to flex the foot so that your ankle is protected. Then take hold of the back of your left thigh and draw it towards you, really pressing that right arm into the right leg. And if you want that extra hamstring stretch, you can extend the left leg towards the ceiling. I'm going to take 5 breaths here. Then when you're ready, release that foot. Bring the right foot to the mat. I'm going to do it on the other side. So bring the left ankle over the right knee, making sure the ankle bone is protected, the foot is flexed. Draw the right leg in, take hold of the back of the thigh, and again, if you want to, extend that right leg towards the ceiling. Make sure your ankle joint and your knee joint aren't being compressed in any way here. Really breathe into any area which you can feel the stretch in. Putting the breath towards the area which feels tight is going to help it to untighten. And then gently release those legs. Roll over onto your left side and then come up slowly as you like to a seated position. We're going to do some open leg stretches. So send your legs out, should be about 1 metre apart, and we're just going to inhale to sit tall here, and then exhale to slide your hands towards your ankles. If you need to sit up, you can sit up on a block or a blanket, just to tilt your pelvis forward, and you're going to every time you exhale, you're going to draw your nose towards the mat. Now careful not to just let your spine roll down, because that's not getting the stretch into your hamstrings and into your thighs and hip flexors. Make sure your back stays fairly straight and you're hinging from the hip flexors. You can take hold of your feet, you can take hold of your ankles, you can take hold of your calves, whatever feels nice. I'm going to hold this for about 10 breaths. Again, really breathe into the area that's tight. And then your next exhale, start to roll up through your spine. And then take your right arm either to your right calf or to the floor in front of you. Lift your left arm and then take it over your head, leaning back as much as you can, so your hips should be stacked, shoulders should be stacked over your hips. You might be able to reach for your right foot, you might not. Today I'm really tight so I can't. And look up towards your arm. Again, really breathe into that stretch. More breaths. to the other side. So hand either to your calf or to the floor, right hand towards the sky, and then reach over, and you should feel a really deep stretch all the way down your side into your QL muscle. Close your eyes and just breathe. Two more breaths. And then again, gently come up to centre. Bring your legs together and just wiggle them out. And then we're going to do something called Janu Sirsasana. So send your right leg out again and bring your left heel into the inside of your right thigh. And you're going to inhale to stand tall or sit tall, twist towards your right leg, and then reach over. And again, you can catch your toes as long as your shoulders aren't coming forward too much, or you can catch your ankle, or you can catch your shin. Whatever gives you that stretch is really, really effective. And again, close your eyes, and every time you exhale, see if you can reach forward a little more. Three more breaths. And then gently come up and change legs. So your left leg goes out, your right heel goes into your inner thigh, reach up, and then twist, and as you exhale, reach towards your foot, your ankle, your calf, whatever gives you that benefit of the stretch. The more you flex your foot, the more stretch you're going to get. Five more breaths. And then gently release. Bring your feet together, and again we're just going to do that little butterfly fluttering, just to release those hip flexors. And then come over onto all fours for your cat-cow stretch. So you've done this before, but wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, really draw your abdominals in and up. And as you inhale, lift your tailbone, roll through your spine, shoulders back, lift your gaze. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone under, roll through, and look into your abdominals. Inhale into cow pose, exhale into cat. And you can make this a little bit more interesting by closing your eyes and just working into circles, rocked backwards and forwards, whatever feels nice in your body. So you can come all the way forward and then rock all the way back, almost into child's pose. You can bend your elbows, whatever feels nice. Do 3 or 4 more of these with your own breath and your own variations. And then when you're finished, come back to a neutral spine. Gonna really work into your left hand, and then unpeel your right arm, so you elbow goes to the ceiling, and then your hand comes last. Really look up towards that right hand. So you should be getting an opening into the chest and opening into the shoulder here. 3 breaths here. And on your next exhale, thread your hand through underneath you. Take your ear or your temple to the mat and really reach into that shoulder. If you want more of a stretch, you can walk your left arm away, and if you want even more, you can take that left hand over towards the right to open up your side body. And breathe into the stretch. Two more breaths. On the next exhale, bring that left hand back under the shoulder and inhale to draw the arm up again, then extend it towards the ceiling and then take it to the mat. And we'll do the same on the other side. So press down into the right hand, draw the left elbow towards the sky, and then the wrist, and then the hand. 5 breaths here. And then thread the needle through, place that forearm on the mat, put your temple onto the mat, really press into that shoulder to open it up. And again, if you want to walk the right hand away and across to the other side of the mat, that will increase that stretch along the side body. Three more breaths here. And then again, walk that hand back, right hand back under your shoulder, reach the left arm up, and then take it back to the mat. We're now going to do something called Anahata Asana, which is melting heart or puppy dog pose. You might want a brick or a cushion or a blanket for this to place under your chest. So you're going to stay in that position with your knees at 90-degree angle, and then you're going to come onto your fingertips and walk your fingertips away from you so that your chest comes to the mat. You might be able to get your chin to the mat, you might be able to get your forehead to the mat and your chest. I can't. If you can't, and if that's really uncomfortable, by all means have a blanket under you or have a block. If you're really far away from the mat, have a block just to lean on, just to keep it comfortable. So we're going to take about 10 to 15 breaths here. And this should really be opening up those shoulder girdles. So try and stay on your fingertips. Got 10 more breaths here. Your next exhale, drop your hands so you're no longer on your fingertips. And then start to walk your hands over to the right. Take your left hand over your right hand and then look towards the left and really open up your side body again. Try to keep your hips stacked so your left hip is working backwards. 5 breaths here. centre and take it over to the left. So right hand comes over left hand, you're looking towards your, or under your right armpit. This should be a really strong stretch in the back of your deltoids and the back of your shoulders and all down the side of your body. Again, make sure you're pressing that right hip backwards so it's not coming forward out of line with your left hip. 5 breaths. And then come back to centre and just push back into child's pose for a moment. If your shoulders are really stiff, you can have your arms down by your sides. Find that area between your eyebrows and just massage it out, rocking your head from side to side. Should feel really nice. Nice. When you're ready, start to uncurl and come back onto your front. And we're going to go into Sphinx pose. So legs long, elbows are in a 90-degree angle, hands flat in the mat. Really lift your chest. It's kind of a Titanic moment, so you're trying to show off a necklace like it's the heart of the ocean. Press your hands into the mat and just see if you can slightly dome your abdominals so they're coming up out of the mat. They should be getting into your abs, into your lower back, into your shoulders. We're going to hold for about 10 breaths. Make sure your head's not dropping. Make sure it is in line with your spine. You're looking for the front of the mat. Your next exhale, come to lying down with your one cheek on the mat. Have your hands by your sides with your palms facing down. Have your legs fairly wide for now, unless you're particularly flexible. And then you're going to lift your arms, lift your legs into locust pose. If you want a little bit more, you can bend your knees, take hold of your feet, and come into boat pose. But we're going to take about 5 breaths here. Bow pose, sorry, not boat pose. And then slowly release. Make a pillow for your head with your hands and rock your hips from side to side. And slowly come back again into child's pose. About 5 or 6 breaths. And when you're ready, uncurl and come to seated. We're going to do something called hero's pose. So there are quite a few options for this. You can have, we can do half hero's pose, so you can have your left leg out in front of you, and you're going to bring your right leg behind you, as if you're sitting on it like that, but your foot is to the right hand side of your right hip. So that might be plenty for you. You should be getting a really good stretch down here, and also in your hamstring. If you want to take it a little bit further, and you've got the stretch, the flexibility, you can come down onto your forearms. If you want to take it even further and you've got that flexibility, come all the way down to lying. There are some people who will be able to do double full hero's pose with both feet like this, but for the majority of people, just the half version is going to give you the sufficient stretch. Arms by your sides, and again we're going to take probably about 20 breaths here, just working really, really strongly into your quad muscle. Halfway there. Five more breaths. And wherever you are, whether you're sitting or lying, change legs. If you're in full hero's pose, just stay where you are, or if it's really uncomfortable, just come back into that Supta like that. So you're going to bring your left heel next to your left hip, send your right leg out, and again 20 breaths here. Over halfway there. Three more breaths. And then bring your knees back to centre, feet flat on the mat, and just again, don't bring your knees in yet, just rock your hips from side to side. And then roll over onto your right side and come up to seated. We're going to go into another back bend, which is called Camel or Strasana. I'm going to do 3 sets with options for each one. Please do just do what's comfortable for you. If it goes into your back or if it twinges at any point, please stop and go back to the initial option. So you're going to have your hands behind your back, so you could have your fists into your sacrum, which is that bony bit between your tailbone and your lumbar spine, or you could have your hands facing down, or you could have them facing up. So press your hands into your hips so your hips come forward, and you should get a front of thigh stretch here as well. And then if it's comfortable, just take your head back. Don't flip it all the way back unless it's really comfortable. Just look to the corner above you. Press your elbows together and really press into your into the tops of your feet as well. We're going to take 5 breaths here. And your next exhale, release. Just stand up straight for a second. Okay, if that felt nice and it felt like enough, stay with that. Or if you want a bit more of a challenge, tuck your toes under you. We're going to start in the same way, so hands either in fists, face down or face up. You're going to press your hips forward. And if you want a bit more, take hold of your left foot with your left hand and your right foot with your right hand, and just take that a little bit deeper. 5 breaths here. And then release one hand, release the other, and gently come back to seated. Just inhale and take a big stretch towards the ceiling. Again, if that was enough, if you just want to stay with the first option, want to stay with the second option, that's absolutely fine. If you're fairly flexible and you've got a strong lower back, I'm going to give you a third option. That's to have your feet flat on the mat. Again, we're going to start in the same way. So hands to your sacrum, press your hips forward, really get into that thigh area, and you might want to engage your glute muscles here as well. Then again, take hold of your left ankle with your left hand, your right ankle with your right hand, and we're just going to take 4 or 5 breaths here. If it's comfortable to drop your head back, go for it. It's not comfortable for me. And then release one hand, release the other hand, tuck your toes if they're not already tucked, and sit down on your heels. We're just going to stay here for about 10 breaths. It doesn't feel like a stretch yet, but it will in a second when your feet start to absolutely kill. Really press your weight back onto your feet, and you should feel this stretch in your toes. It's going to be kind of agony for about 10 more seconds. Seconds. And then bring your hands to the mat, release your feet and just tap them off. So your big toe joint should be fairly fiery right now. Okay, we're going to come into lizard and then pigeon on either side. So start on all fours. Bring your right foot outside of your right hand, and you can either keep the knee down or you can tuck the toes under and lift the back leg. That's a bit stronger. So you've got a few options here. You can obviously keep the knee lifted, you can drop the knee. If it's too much to have your hands down, if you've got your brick or your block or your book, you can have your hands like that, so on your block. If you are quite flexible, you could bring your forearms to the mat. If you're doing that, try and look forward so you're not compressing your neck. If you want to take this even deeper, either seated, either with straight arms or with your arms bent, bend your back knee up, reach around with your right hand and take hold of your back foot on the inside and press that foot away while pulling it in with your hand. You're going to take 10 breaths here. Halfway there. At any point, if you want to come back into an easier option, do go for it. Two more breaths. And then release that foot if you've got it. Walk the right foot over towards the left wrist. So your right knee should be by your right, well, not in line with your right hip, out from your right hip. your back leg is long, you might want to shuffle it away a little bit. My sofa's in the way. So really lift here, and you should feel a stretch all down this thigh. If this is really uncomfortable, you can take your book or your pillow and place it underneath that right hip. If here's comfortable, you can stay here. You can take your forearms to the mat, or you can walk your hands all the way out and rest your forehead on the mat. This is the, if you have any problems with your knees, this is the point at which you go back into the figure 4 position, just because it's a bit gentler than pigeon. But we're going to take 10 breaths in pigeon here. On your next exhale, start to come back up, tuck your toe under, take your right foot back, and then bring your left foot next to your left wrist. And again, you can keep that leg up if you want to, or you can drop the knee, and we're going back into lizard. So as before, that knee should be really pressing away from you. You can stay up on your hands, you can put your hands on bricks or books if you want to, or you can bring your forearms down and really increase that stretch in the hip flexor. Option to bend the back knee and catch that foot with the left hand. If you're going to do that, really press the foot away as you draw it in with the arm. And you can make this into a bit of a shoulder stretch by looking up and twisting towards the ceiling. I'm going to take about 10 breaths here. Three more breaths. And release that back leg if you've got it. Come up onto your hands if they're down, and push back into, oh no, we haven't done pigeon yet. Sorry. Bring that foot back and walk that left foot across to your right hand. Sorry about that. Drop that knee down. Move your back leg behind you. Just look around and check that your back leg isn't coming out too much. It should be fairly parallel. Lift tall, and then if you want to come down to your forearms, you can, or you can bring your head all the way to the mat for 10 breaths. Again, if this hip isn't anywhere near the mat, you can put a block or a pillow or a blanket underneath it to help. 5 more breaths. And then in the next exhale, start to come up. Now take the right knee, the left knee to meet the right knee. Open your legs wide, push back onto your heels, and take a child's pose. On your next exhale, walk your hands back to seated. I'm going to take a squat. So, I'm going to start standing. Take your feet a little over hip width apart and turn your toes out. Then take your arms towards the ceiling. Sorry, you really can't see me here. And then as you exhale, draw your hands in prayer towards your heart and draw your elbows towards your knees and draw your knees out. If this is really, really uncomfortable, you can sit on a brick, or if your heels are up, you can put bricks or blankets or pillows underneath your heels so that your heels aren't flailing around in the air. So I'm going to close the eyes and take about 5 breaths here. Really opening up those hips. Sit as tall as you can, press your shoulders back, press your palms together. Now we're going to take a twist, so keep your left arm where it is and reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. 3 breaths here. And then exhale, return it, and we're going to do the same on the other side. So keep your right arm where it is, take your left arm up towards the ceiling. Nice gentle twist. Last breath, and as you exhale, bring it back. Take your hands behind you, let yourself drop to the floor. We're going to take a bridge, and then we're going to take one really, really restful pose, and then an even more restful one, which is Shavasana. So lie down into the mat, bring your heels quite close to your sit bones. So if your arms are long, your longest finger is sort of touching or grazing the back of your heels. So your knees are hip width apart, feet are hip width apart. Have your block or your book or your pillow somewhere close to you, so you can easily reach it. Arms down by your sides, look up towards the ceiling. Press your knees away from you, and then slowly reach your hips towards the ceiling, pressing strongly into your feet. And then you can clasp your hands under you and snuggle your shoulders under your back, just to increase that shoulder stretch. And we're going to breathe here for 3 and 2 and 1, and then unsnuggle your shoulders and slowly roll down your spine from top to middle to bottom. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it supported, so you're going to stay there for a little while. This is the bottom setting, this is the middle setting, and this is the top setting. I'd really suggest that people have the brick on the bottom or middle setting. Top setting is only if you're really quite flexible and if you have no lower back issues at all. So you're going to put your book or your block or your pillow underneath your sacrum once you're up in bridge pose. So arms by your side, again, press your knees away, curl your tailbone up, and then choose the setting that you want. So bottom setting would be there, middle setting would be there, top setting would be here, but make sure it is definitely on your sacrum and it's not on your back, because if it's on your back, it's really going to hurt your back. Turn your palms to face upwards and just close your eyes and breathe. Good, take 10 breaths here. If you've got it on the highest setting or the middle setting, start to release it and take it to the lowest setting and just bring your hips back to that brick. You can do this without the brick if you want to, but it's really nice with the brick. Bring your knees into your chest and then extend your legs towards the ceiling. This is a great pose to do if you're either having trouble sleeping or if you really need a bit of a boost to wake up, because it's going to bring the blood all the way back to your head. So we're going to take quite a few breaths here. We're going to take about 20 breaths with your legs towards the sky. If you need to bend them or put them into a diamond shape, that's absolutely fine, but just enjoy the feeling, the zingy feeling that this gives you. breathing really deeply. Halfway there. And then slowly start to bend your knees, take your feet to the mat, gently take that block out, and we're going to go into Shavasana, which is your resting pose. So have your legs out to the sides, feet to the edges of the mat, palms facing up, arms a little way away from you. If you've got that blanket, you can put it over you. If you've got an eye pillow or a pillow of any sort, you can put that over your eyes. And we're just going to take about 20 breaths in this resting pose. Start to wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes. Rock your head from side to side, massaging out the back of your skull. In your own time, bring your knees into your chest, get rid of the blanket if you've got it. Give yourself a hug. And then start to roll over onto your left side, making a pillow with your arm. You're going to take a deep breath in here through the nose. Open the mouth and let it all out. And use your right hand to push yourself up into a comfortable seated position. And keep your eyes closed if you want to. Come to seated. Put one foot in front of the other. You can have your legs crossed. You can have come into completely forgotten what it's called, half locust pose if you want to. And then you're going to inhale, take your arms towards the sky, take hold of one wrist with one hand, reach it up, and then reach over. here. And inhale to centre, take hold of the other wrist, inhale to reach up, exhale to reach over. Next inhale, come to centre, bring your hands to your knees, then bring your hands together and start rubbing them together as much as you can to create a lot of heat. And then place your hands over your heart and inhale. And exhale. Again, rub your hands together as much as you can. If there's energy in between them. And place your hands over the back of your neck. Inhale. And exhale. Last time, just rub your hands together. Should be quite easy to create heat now. And place them over your eyes. Inhale. Exhale, start to open your fingers so that there's some light between your eyes. Then bring your hands away. Place them on your knees. Take one last inhale together. Let it go. Thank you very much for being here again. I hope you got what you needed. Enjoy the sun, enjoy your weekend, enjoy time together, and I'll see you next week. Bye.